today's theme was some things to know about using the HeikenAshi indicator here. So I'm going to start off with just a plain chart here, and just a simple 3-minute chart. And so I worked with many customers who have learned to use the HeikenAshi for their trading conditions. And so so they have the HeikenAshi on the chart, and you look at it and you go, wow, look, those are bars on there. But people forget that they added an indicator. So this is an indicator overlaid on top of the actual bars. So these are not the bars anymore. So this is an indicator that's sitting on top of the bars. So it doesn't actually modify the 3-minute chart that I just literally had on my chart. So let me change. There we go. Let me put this on a new panel, and oh, okay, interesting. I never really did this before. So the bars have been turned off. Interesting. Well, okay, doesn't matter. I was hoping to show you the 3-minute bars that were underneath the HeikenAshi bars, but apparently, I guess maybe the bars were all changed to the background color or something. But just to kind of reiterate my point, this is an indicator. So this doesn't actually, if I look up here on my chart, I can see this is still a 3-minute chart, right? It didn't change the bar type. And one way that I can prove that is, let me delete the HeikenAshi. And I'm going to show you that NinjaTrader is still reading the price data from the 3-minute bars. So when you're working with BloodHound, BloodHound is getting its price data from the 3-minute chart. So it's not, oops, I put the wrong one on there, sorry. I meant to put Chameleon on here. I'm going to put Chameleon on here because, let's see, I can mark the high and the low. Let me brighten this up to make it a little more obvious. And also, let's see, let me identify, I think let me identify the closing price. So I'll mark the closing price white, make it really obvious. And oops. I had a preset. Shoot, I had all this. I guess I must have deleted my set default file during a previous webinar. So let me go back, and I like to use if I put Chameleon on my chart, I like to use the dash. Let's put this back to the dash. And I'm going to set my default there. Oops. Sorry, not the dash, the hash. So I'm just setting my plot styles up so that For me, I think it's easier to see them. All right, and I'm really going to make want to make the closing price really stand out, so maybe a dot will work better. Yeah. All right, set that default. There we go. And let me put the indicator on top. Okay, great. So we got the little white dots here. And I'll make this a little bigger. So we got the little white dots marking the closing price right on the 3-minute bar. So now let me add the HeikenAshi back, and then this will actually really illustrate what is happening. And oops. There we go. So remember so I put chameleon on here, which is an indicator, right? So the indicator is going to NinjaTrader and asking for the price data, and then it's just taking that price data and it's turning it into a plot. So we can see, you know, the low, right? We're marking the low of the bars with red, and we're marking the high of the bars with green. And you can see for the most part the highs and the lows match up. So the red and the green, that price data is coming from the 3-minute chart, not the HeikenAshi indicator. And so here is a couple of examples that prove that point. So look at these two candles here. You see the green hash mark, right? So remember, the green hash marks are marking the high of the 3-minute bar. But we can see the HeikenAshi high is way up here. So let me put a red diamond, right? So we got the HeikenAshi bar. The high is way up here, and so is the open. But on the 3-minute bar, the high really is down here where this green hash mark is. And we have the close, right? We got the closing price marked right here on the HeikenAshi. But we can see by the white dot, the true closing price of the 3-minute bar is down here where the white dot is. And so this is a common mistake that people think, because this HeikenAshi looks like a bar type. So you're thinking, oh, my indicators, or more importantly, for what I'm trying to show you guys, is that a lot of people think that, oh, BloodHound is going to grab the HeikenAshi price data. But it's not. BloodHound, just like any other indicator, just like the SI Chameleon indicator, is going to grab the price data from the 3-minute chart. So BloodHound is going to be working with the closing price that's down here, you know, right next to this white dot. And it's going to be working with the closing price, you know, the high price as marked by the green hash. So if you do want to build your system using the HeikenAshi price data, let me add BloodHound on here real quick, and I'll show you how to get that done. All right, let's see. So I'm gonna, first thing I want to do is name my template. I know, I'm sorry, I'm kind of rushing through what I did real quickly for you, the new people in the room. Right, you can see there's no name on this template. Right, it's a brand new instance of BloodHound I put on my chart. So I just hit the change button to change the name. You can see it brings up a save as, brings up the save as dialog box. So what I'm going to do, let's see, today is the 15th already. Wow. So I'm going to grab an old workshop template name. So I name these by the date of the workshop. So every once in a while, I get asked for templates from an old workshop. So if you would like any of these templates, please provide the date of when when this workshop took place, and that's how I can find the actual BloodHound templates to give to you guys. All right. Oops. What did I do wrong? So let's put today's date on here. And let's see. So I want to do something simple here. Let me throw a bar direction on here real quick. And yeah, all right. So here's a couple of examples already. So look right here, right in the middle. We can see the bar direction doesn't actually have any direction. And so, but if we look at the HeikenAshi, right, it looks like a down bar. So it looks like we should be getting a short signal, you know, for this down bar on the HeikenAshi. But we're not. If we look at probably if we look at the 3-minute, yeah, see, so if I took the HeikenAshi off, right, and now we're looking at the orange 3-minute bars, and we can see that this bar here is a doji. So BloodHound was calculating off of this doji, right? So doji has no bar direction since there's no body to it, right? The open and close are the same. So if we want to calculate the bar direction based on the HeikenAshi, you have to tell BloodHound to use the HeikenAshi indicator. So I'll show you that here in just a moment. Let me throw the HeikenAshi back on the chart. Great. And let me switch over to a logic tab here. So I'm going to build my own bar direction solver that will match the HeikenAshi. So in order to do that, I'm going to use a comparison solver. Right. So the bar directions solver is real simple. You know, it just looks at the opening price, compares it to the closing price, and determines, you know, what direction the bar closed in. So if I want to build my own, I can use the indicator comparison. And this time, for indicator A and indicator B, right, I need to put the HeikenAshi indicator in here so I can get the price data from the HeikenAshi. Right, so if I add HeikenAshi here, right, we can see we have the price data available. So I want to compare the closing price to the opening price of the HeikenAshi. So let me switch this over to the HeikenAshi. And this time, yep, so I want the opening price here. So up here in indicator A, I have the closing price of the HeikenAshi, and in the indicator B section, I specified the opening price of the HeikenAshi. And now, when I look at my chart, now it matches correctly, right? So remember this, this was the bar here that was identified as a, on the 3-minute chart, it was a doji, but on the HeikenAshi, it's a down bar. So let me just show you the bar direction real quick again. Right, so on this bar here, remember the 3-minute bar is a doji, but the HeikenAshi right? It's a down bar. So if I want to use the price data from the HeikenAshi, you just have to remember to use the HeikenAshi in your solvers. And that's how you can work with the HeikenAshi there. So, all right, well, that's, that is pretty much it for the HeikenAshi. So it was pretty quick, and kind of glad you guys had a bunch of questions to help fill the time. And shoot, I see unfortunately Taz has left. All right, I was going to ask Taz to send his question in so I can help him out because I need to wrap this workshop up. So those questions went quite a bit longer, but that's a good thing. Remember, I'm here to, that's what these are for, to answer your questions. So let me see if there's any other last minute. There's a couple of questions or comments that came in here. All right, so let's see. Celso, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So Celso, I see you got a good question here, but unfortunately I kind of ran out of time for today. So if you submit your question to me in to an email, right, at support at sharkindicators.com, I can give you an answer back by email, or I can save your question and hopefully Taz sends his question in and I can address those next week in the workshops. So Tim is asking, when will you be able to optimize backtest for different time intervals? Tim, that's out of our control. I don't think we'd ever be able to do that. That would require a change within NinjaTrader's strategy analyzer. So you probably got this idea because the strategy analyzer does allow you to backtest against different time intervals. And so to work with multiple time intervals, off the top of my head, it sounds like that would have to be a NinjaTrader capability as well, because NinjaTrader actually calculates the price data. It calculates it internally, right? BloodHound doesn't calculate the price data. NinjaTrader has to build the bars, and so NinjaTrader has to come up with their own method for NinjaTrader to build, to rebuild that price data if we're working with multiple time frames. I don't think there would be a way that BloodHound could force NinjaTrader to do that within the strategy analyzer. So that would really require a pretty significant back-end change to NinjaTrader's capabilities. Peter's asking, what will happen to BloodHound once NT8 is released? Well, depending on what changes they made, we will have to modify BloodHound to to meet the new standards of NinjaTrader 8, just like everybody else will. So, and NinjaTrader has not released any information on 8, so we have no idea what's coming. But if it's anything like the rollout of version 7, we should have plenty of time to get BloodHound converted over. So Ninja 7 took quite, I think, more than a year to really get rolled out before people really adopted version 7. Let's see, so Tim is asking, what did you call today's solver? So Tim, this is the comparison solver here. And so I used a comparison solver to basically create what the bar direction solver does. All right, so the bar direction solver is just pretty simple. It just compares the the opening price to the closing price of the bar to tell you what direction the bar is moving. And so I used the comparison solver to do the same thing. And so what I did is in indicator A, I specified the closing price. So I'm comparing the closing price of the HeikenAshi, right? And I can tell it's the closing price because it says by the name of the plot. So if I look at this plot name, it's HA close. And then I'm comparing the closing price to the opening price of the HeikenAshi bar, because over here I'm using the HA open plot, right? So I have my HA opening plot checked. So I'm comparing the closing price to the opening price, and that's doing the same thing as what the bar direction does, except I'm using the price data from the HeikenAshi Indicator. So, all right, I hope that clarified it for you. All right, well, thank you guys for attending, and I'll see you next week.